Okay. All right, good. I want to call to order the January 2026 meeting of the Oregon City Public Library Board. In attendance from the board are Cynthia Andrews, Heidi Blackwell, Bill Clarton, Dita Oreskovich, and our newest member, Rachel Panzik, and Denise and Greg are here as staff, and we have a guest. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Candice Dinkin. I work for Oregon City School District. I'm the K-12 literacy specialist.
Great.
I'm very invested in libraries and read.
Great. Thank you for being here.
And if I may say, Candice has been an amazing partner, something you very well, very closely.
Well, we've been really pleased with the interaction with the Oregon City School. Yeah, great. Okay, well, the first order of business is the election of 2026 officers. And let me, before we get to that, I had mentioned to some of you that I was probably going to be moving in the next few months. So it's probably been delayed some. So I think things will be as they are for several more months at least. So we'll get a heads up on that. So we've got, there is no slate of officers, so I'm open to a motion about officers.
Who are we actually electing? I just
Chair and a vice.
Chair and a vice chair.
Those are it. So David has served as chair this last year. Cynthia has been the vice chair. I believe it's your second go around for both of us.
Yes.
Chair. That's right.
There's no term limits for
There we go.
What did you say, Heidi?
term limits. There's no.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Regulation.
That's kind of
None of the officers, there are of the terms of being on the board, and I think your term is going to be up within the year, and mine shortly thereafter.
well, so I'll take the bold move of nominating David to continue in his role as chairperson. He's done an amazing job, really an amazing job. And it's really a pleasure to have him as our lead. So
Thank you.
I will nominate him.
Thank you. There a second.
Also,
Any other nominations? All right, all in favor, please? Aye. Thank you. Okay, and the vice chair.
I'll nominate Cynthia Andrews. Again, it's a very good job stepping in, but also representing the library in other ways.
Absolutely. And representing us with the foundation, which is a key piece of the future. So, I hear a second? I'll second that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're back in business.
Just move on.
All right.
This is as usual.
Continue on.
Yeah, okay, so the next item is the approval of two sets of minutes, one from October 29th and the other from December 10th. And any corrections, additions, mistakes, anything picked up? One of the meetings was a little bit longer because we were interviewing potential board members. If not, could I have a motion on each?
I'm to approve the minutes as presented for October 27/10.
Okay, second, please. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, the library director's report.
Okay, thank you, David. I will keep it brief. You've got your usual statistical reports and information in your packet. A couple things to point out. I included, we got our first and our biggest distribution of library districts in November. As a reminder, we used to get those 2 times a year. Last year, they changed the schedule, so we're getting these 3 times a year, which are more closely aligned with tax collection deadlines. We had a little bit of a concern looking at the first distribution this year and comparing it with the first distribution last year. It was all flat. It was the exact same. And in Oregon, you can generally anticipate you're going to get more, at least 3% more. So we did contact the county, and because it's just a timing issue. It's that last year's distribution, they waited a couple of extra weeks before doing all their calculations. So, and a significant amount of revenue did come in, which will be included in our second distribution. So I'm feeling much better about that. So Once we get the late March early distribution, if there are any reasons for concern, we will certainly discuss that. But right now, all seems good. Any questions on the distribution memo? Okay. Thank you, Bill. I included, there was some discussion last time around about the city neighborhood associations, the boundaries of those. So Bill, provided a map, that he had as the CIC rep of the
South
End.
we had our first meeting last Thursday. It's like 25 people. I'm
That's
almost
great.
worried we'll have 4.
So yeah, if there are any other questions about neighborhood boundaries or anything like that, maybe we have an expert here. I'm sure Heidi knows
Yeah.
a good deal about neighborhood associations.
We are together with Hill, so I'm in Tower Vista and we're with Hillendale because we try to get a dozen people between the two neighborhoods that can, generally reach that, so. That's another idea to just combine with other neighborhoods to try that.
Yeah, right now, there were 3. Now there's only one moribund, inactive
Yeah.
neighborhood.
And the last update I have, good news on our outreach vehicle. So even though we had the money budgeted, the process is since it's a large purchase, we have to get the commission to approve it. So I went to the commission meeting on January 7th and they approved the form. So the order has been placed.
Down payment made.
Down payment made. I think at our as everybody here knows, the Friends and the Foundation are generously providing funds to augment to help with that purchase. We will, I would like to, at our annual report to the City Commission, to also have the Friends and the Foundation come to present checks. And so the commission can see very viscerally how much, how much our Friends and Foundation do something.
Well, those 6-foot checks.
We're hopefully, I know we have one up downstairs. Okay, well, they're not that expensive to me.
No.
I know at one point there was a grant opportunity or some funding that,
Yeah.
and then that was
Yes.
held up. I was just curious.
The state funding.
Yeah, so it was state funding that because of it was funding through IMLS distributed by the state library. All this budget problems and uncertainty at the federal level, the state library terminated that program because they're conserving funds to pay their staff. But at our foundation meeting last week, we talked about that. The foundation originally pledged $50,000. They have upped that to $75,000. I believe the Friends, I can't speak for the Friends, but all indications are that the Friends will be doing the same thing. So with 150 from them, with 10 from the Carnegie, and 100 that we were originally putting up, we have funded the
Thank you
So
for
what's
working that out.
the anticipated delivery date?
Build out is preliminary set for, May.
Okay.
So they'll start.
Yeah, we would love to have a touch truck.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
But maybe for summer programming.
Maybe, yeah, maybe for some, I like it'd be great if we could get it before that let out,
Yeah.
which is August.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll know more in the next couple of weeks, so that's exciting.
You
And,
want to give an update on the lockers? Just to,
sure, I can. The county has awarded the contract to a 99% sure they published the notice of intent to award, so all I will say is that they are either have awarded it or they are going to award it presently. We know who the vendor will be, and they're finalizing the contract. We are working with our facility department to kind of look at places around the library. Our goal is to have a pilot one here first. When we've talked about it, we would love to have it for many operational reasons. We'd love to have it on that side of the building, but for patron service, I don't think that's realistic. So,
Rachel, for your information, what this is about, part of our ability, our desire to reach out to this huge area. We've solicited information from our patrons, and one of the issues was that they can't return, particularly returning books, they have to come to the library to do that, and that's a real schlep for a lot of people to come in here. And so there is in existence these lockers that FedEx has around and other places have, where if you put in codes and whatnot, it'll open up. And so people can order books and they can return books, and we'll distribute them around our service area. But we're testing it first. So there's going to be one here that'll be outside so people can pick up after hours or before. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about here.
so yeah,
Yeah.
we're looking at spots. I hadn't told Denise this, I just went out with that tape measure, so I was measuring a certain area that I think it might work okay, but we'll check with our facilities department.
How big are they actually?
The
Sub-zero fridge.
about 30, so they're modular, so you have to get one base unit, which has the touchscreen, and the computer in it, and then you can augment with this vendor, you can put, I think it's up to 11, expansion units. So each one is about 36 inches, 36 to 40 inches wide, yeah. And the base unit comes with, I want to say it's like 16 lockers, and then the expansions come with 22 lockers, all of different sizes. So, they need to be somewhere where you can get the power to them. So we're trying to find places exterior. The cheapest way would be find somewhere that already has power running to it. And then hopefully if there's power running to it, that means there's conduit running that power, and then that means that it'd be easy to get data out there. You can do wireless data, which close by here should be okay, but if you can't do wired, it's always better to share a lot connection. Yeah. So the goal would be the county's goal has always been to have a contract in place so that libraries can purchase beginning with the new fiscal year. Hopefully, I anticipate that I think their schedule, the manager for the network office, I think it's like a 2-week turnaround because they have them all, and it's not that custom built for it. They have them in stock, so it's ordering them, it's doing site evaluation of them, getting it installed. Getting interact. Yes. Yeah. Or we just make it so we won't do that. I was joking.
That comes from our budget, from each individual library's
Correct.
budget.
Yes. But the nice thing is that we're gonna revisit our self-checks as well, and the county has been putting aside money to facilitate that for libraries. So we're saving lots of money on the self-checks, and that allowed us to put some money aside for book measures.
Right. Yeah. Anything else? Any
That's
questions?
all I have,
Right.
unless anybody's got questions.
All right. Any public comment?
No.
No? Any public comment? No? Okay. All right, we've got a few discussion items. One, there is going to be another library board vacancy because Lori is having to move. And she's moving out of the district and therefore cannot serve. And so she has resigned from the board. And so the question becomes, we've just interviewed 3 people. We've chosen Rachel as our first candidate, which was approved by the mayor. There were 2 other candidates. We did rank them. And the question is, do we want to go forward with our second choice for Lori's position, reopen it, or go to our third choice? Which, again, we had 3 very good candidates, so it's not. And so what is your pleasure?
I'm here because I was the second choice, so I support that, right?
I am too, so. It's true. Not true. No, it's true. I got a call back saying, are you still interested?
So that sounds like that's the consensus.
Yeah,
I think it
We'll
is.
just continue with our ranking. Okay, I just wanted to,
Yeah.
since there have been some changes since.
Does it
last
need to
time
be
we did
approved by
that.
the mayor again?
Yes, and she has expressed to me that she's fine with going off that, but we both agree that just since there had been a little change in what we said was gonna happen, it made sense just to come check in with her first before we went back. So I will forward that information on to her, and I anticipate at their next meeting,
Good.
she'll make those. And I'll reach out to the candidates to make sure that they're still.
Still interested. Okay, good. And so we're gonna add some age diversity to the board, which is great. This is a younger woman and very enthusiastic and very clever, and very pleased about that. So good. All right, an update on the library district task force. I tried to attend the final meeting. The county called a work session, and they gave us all notice as to when it was going to be. And when we showed up, it was done already, which has happened a couple of times already. But we sat down with Commissioner Savas afterward and with the staff, and they went through what it was, and it was recorded. So I mean, one can see the hearings. And Greg, you've got some insight into sort of where it is.
Yeah.
I'm not very happy about it, but that's we can talk about that. So
Yeah, so I did provide there in your materials, there is the link if you want to watch the video. The very short version is that this Board of County Commissioners did approve the recommendations almost as submitted. They expressed a preference for county staff when they're working on implementing this to do it all at the same time. So there were two recommendations. One was to direct staff to propose an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement to clarify use of district funds for capital expenses and allocated costs. The second one was direct staff to initiate the creation of a strategic framework for the district that would prepare it for its 20th year of service and beyond. And they did say they wanted staff to kind of approach those as a single project and just move forward with both at the same time. So I have none of the library directors nor our primary contact at the county have received any further information on what that process is going to look like, how they're going to go forward. As soon as we have some information, I will share it with you. I think I've been fairly open in the fact that I do not think, and I believe we're all of the same mind, that the county has already clarified use of funds multiple times, and going out to each city to adopt an intergovernmental agreement amendment just seems like a real waste of time and energy, and frankly, goodwill. Elected officials. So I will continue in my role on the directors group and giving feedback to our directors representatives to propose that maybe an intergovernmental amendment is not necessary. And, that we can just, the county commission has already said what they believe. So I don't know why we're going through this exercise, but we'll see what happens with the directing staff to initiate it. It's a fancy way of saying put together a strategic plan for the district.
Bring in a consultant, that was actually explicitly said, and when we asked about funding of that, we got an interesting message first. One is we don't know, and then second is maybe we'll do a tax on the distribution so that every library proportionally pays some. We're happy to contribute to that. We've got money in the budget. We've talked about it in the last thing, 10,000 or whatever it's going to wind up being what our share would be. I don't think that's an issue. But the county seems to be dancing here in a way that I don't understand. They didn't really listen to all the input that was done at the task force. At least it's not reflected in what they ultimately approved here. And they're moving so slow that it drives me nuts to move at this snail's pace. When funding is clearly the number one issue. Noticeably, it doesn't appear in any of the wording that the county has dealt with. We clearly need to go out for another bond measure and raise the levy. That's going to be a difficult process. We're going to have 13 cities agree that agree on a date. on, election date, which is gonna be a bear because everybody's gonna have something competing. So politically, that's gonna be very tough. So the notion of going out to all of these cities to deal with an amendment which has no meaning is such a waste of political capital and time that it just boggles the mind as to why they went there. And I've been trying to get to the bottom of where did the connection not get made? I mean, I attended every meeting, as did Greg, and what I heard and what I saw was not what's reflected here. So we're trying to get to the bottom of it. I know, some of the county staff is speaking with Greg to try to get insight into it as well. We really don't know. I mean, I think, is that fair?
That's fair, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would concur that the discussions and the feedback that participants in the task force gave do not seem to be necessarily reflected in the final recommendations of the consumers.
And we don't know why. I don't think, we don't know if this is a hot political issue. We don't know if there's somebody at the county that's got some other agenda. I mean, it just doesn't appear to be any other motive here, except that it's just slow. It's like, molasses to try to get anything done.
The only thing I think is just the understanding, so staff would have background and have been involved in this process, but not necessarily commissioners, like they're changing every 2 years. And so just the idea of, how invested or how much time they want to invest in this topic might be, explain why they're hesitant or why they're not investing, this time.
I know there are 2 of them that are very supportive. But other than that, I don't know.
I will say, and I'm comfortable enough saying this, I think, I certainly hope our primary contact at the county is the manager of the library network office, who's the one who provides centralized services to all of the library directors at every one of our meetings. We're really close.
He's very good.
Yes.
He's a really good guy.
He has not been the primary county staff person helping to inform and move this process forward, which I have identified in our directors group as a real concern and an issue. It seems to be being driven more out of a different department at the county where maybe that familiarity with how our district works and how libraries work is well developed. So we continue to push and say we really need to make sure that if county staff are going to work on this, it's the right county staff involved.
Right, and one of the county staff members just made a terrible error in the communication at that meeting and really sort of spooked the process.
Yeah.
When being asked about the potential cost of a consultant and.
Yeah, you'll in the staff report and in their verbal answering the commission, they said, how much is it going to cost to get a consultant to do the strategic plan? And they said $500,000.
It says it in.
Yes. He did verbally kind of backtrack a bit and say that, well, that was kind of looking holistic, like if you went then with a ballot measure and you had to do all this, all their stuff. Sure, but to me, that was a real tactical error.
Yeah, that amount sticks in people's ears.
And it's so wrong, and it's so off.
Yeah, and that's not anything that, had somebody else, somebody who kind of knew what the district, what we're looking for and what this would realistically take. So that was, that's a concern that $500,000 number has been thrown out there publicly. Hopefully, that's not what sticks in it. Yes, and because I know like if city managers, if their request is, hey, we need cities to help fund this consultant report, if they're being told it's $500,000, it's never gonna happen.
Absolutely did, and it's not.
Important to have an explanation of the district, like the library district, or is that?
I've got a very good orientation from Greg, and some support from David, so.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where that is. Hopefully we'll have some movement on that because, it's been an interesting process. The LDAC report, you've got a copy of it in here. It's an annual thing that Greg has to do. It basically talks about, what's happened at the library over the last year. Is there any highlights or anything of concern?
No, and this is, some of this is to make sure Rachel's up to date. So as part of the intergovernmental agreement, that form the districts, there is a requirement that cities provide what's called an annual progress report. The goal of which is to, be able to provide, you're getting this district money, did you use it in a way that is consistent with what the IGA says? And so I gave you all the attachment C from the IGA, which outlines the three specific, goals that it had in there. This annual progress report has grown over the years. I mean, when it first started, it was basically those three pieces of information. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Now it's much more of a kind of a financial status report, because the library district really felt they needed that information. So I have gone through, I have filled it out. Denise with her eagle eyes pointed out all the stuff was pre-populated, and I looked at it closely as I should have. So there's one year that the hours open per week. It's actually an annual hour number.
Everyone's good.
So that will be corrected with Rick. I want everybody, we will get to the data that is, it's just, as our process, when we reviewed this, it was felt, and I agree, it was very important that library boards have this level of information so that they can look at it. If they had any, concerns or comments, that they had an opportunity to provide that to LDAC. So, we got a little behind COVID, which is why you're getting three at once, but now we're caught up, so.
But that LDAC hasn't been nagging for.
Correct.
Have they failed their oversight?
They have not met in some time, so I am the representative at LDAC now, and
Yeah. So are there cities farther behind?
No, we all do this at the same time.
Oh,
So Rick at the county will say, hey, it's time to give the annual progress report. So we have not done it. I will say some of this, information is available in other formats. That they call, this is the budget documents or planning documents, so it does take a little effort for library directors to pull all together. That's why we're never, chomp the bit to, have one more report to fill out.
yeah.
But
I did have one question.
Sure.
If it's relevant. I didn't understand right off the bat what the library fund is compared to library reserve, because just below that, it says the library reserve needs to be a big number, is in the library fund.
yeah.
Not the reserve, so.
All right, so I'll try to give the very short version. So, and this is just for Oregon City. So we have, 9 other cities in the county who may budget differently. So the reason these questions are asked is because of that perennial concern. Are you using library district dollars for capital purposes?
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is what this IGA amendment is trying to further, yet again, clarify, but that was the genesis of these questions being asked the way they were. So in Oregon City, we basically got two sources of money that fund library stuff. We've got our library fund, which is where the library district dollars go.
Yeah.
That's our primary source of funding, right? 90% of our funding of all types comes from district dollars and goes to the library fund. The city has a separate fund that they just call the community fund. And in that, for the city puts money aside explicitly only for capital repair and replace and capital improvement needs going forward.
Okay.
And so the reason these questions are asked the way they are, and the reason I answer are because we want to be clear that, okay, a lot of the time we are taking capital project dollars from this reserve fund, in our case, the city of Oregon City is the community facilities fund. But we also have funds in our library fund, our operating fund, where we do have to keep a good chunk of change in there because we don't get tax receipts until December, January. So we basically have to keep 6 months worth of operating funds in our library fund so that we can pay for operations for the first
for cash flow.
Yes.
So that's why I say the way I answer it, it's, I would historically, when LDAC looks at the library fund and sees, whoa, you got $5 million sitting there, you're not allowed to do that. my answer is, well, I gotta keep a good chunk of that to pay for staff. I don't get any other funds to do it. So of that 3 million, 5 million, here's during this year, how I'm gonna keep the reserve.
It is required by the finance director.
Yes, yeah.
It's not, this is not
No,
Greg or us. I mean, this is city.
I wouldn't do any differently because
Yeah.
I want to start that. So,
Yeah, okay, so that's the bad is.
so yes, and then the capital, the
So the library reserves that are the amount that's under $1 million, they're 2.39, that's city and half.
this is the community facilities fund.
Yeah.
So, and I just know when they talk about library reserves in the context of this LDAC, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about capital. So that's why I've put that as its own fund. You can see up here, it says, total transfers to reserve fund.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we transferred in the past. We transferred into community facilities fund. And there's also a capital, where is it? It is, there's one question of like total capital expenditure, that capital expenses not paid from the fund.
Oh,
So that's why you'll see in this year was 0 because we paid off all capital expenses out of that reserve fund.
Recent floor
Yes.
upgrade.
Yes.
Which is, in a library.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is you'll see, our community facilities fund is about $600,000 right now.
Yeah.
As we know, our capital needs over the next 20 years, $3 million.
well, we know the HVAC is gonna be $1 million of it, and that's coming in the next couple of years, so what?
So I'm confident that we have a, good handle on it, but it's coming from
Yeah,
the funds in the capital reserve, the community facilities fund are not sufficient to cover all of our capital needs. And I've talked to finance, like, should we move money over there? And when you get into budget law, like, there's pros and cons to moving money between funds just because. So the answer has always been no, just keep it in your library fund and designate it for capital use when we need it.
now hopefully LDAC will meet and I'll be able to, because there's some interesting issues, not in our report. But we know that Milwaukee, Gladstone, and Canby have now cut back weekend hours because of budget issues. And this is only gonna get worse. I mean, this is, as we discussed, Oregon budget law is broken. And, we'll never catch up. Inflation will always beat it, particularly in personnel and utilities. They've just eaten up the 3%. And so that's you face it with the schools, we face it with the police, we face it here at the library. And so we're already beginning to see within the district, some of the libraries struggling to make ends meet. And, we will be there in a number of years as well. We've got some room yet. We're in fairly good shape. Not as good as a Lake Oswego or a West Lynn because of our tax base, but we're beginning to see those cracks. And I think LDAC needs to speak up and let the county know we're starting to see deterioration. That the public is going to start seeing. We have this very funny relationship with the cities and with the county, in that we're the most liked city department, almost in every single place. And everybody thinks everything is just rosy, because they don't see the struggles and the financial pressures that we're under. And so we need to get better at communicating the, not dire, but the situation that we're going to need more funding in the future.
And I will say that is something that as directors we are working on. We have talked considerably over the past few months about how do we do a better job of explaining that. But for example, one of the ideas is on our catalog page when we go to search for something, having little sections. Why don't you have fill in blank something that Multnomah County? That's, why don't you have this electronic resource? Or why are my wait times so long? And that would be a place that we could explain to folks, well, with the funds that we have, here's the level of service that you have to provide. If you want to do this, here's how much extra it costs. We're trying to figure out how we do a better job of communicating.
Yeah, and the other place that we're seeing the potential of a crack, I don't think this is going to happen, but we've already gotten feedback from Washington and Multnomah County to our system saying, folks, you're taking ebooks at a rate that, and you're not investing in ebooks at anywhere near the rate that we are. We're concerned about that to the extent that they're going to discuss taking the ebook piece out of the interlibrary connectivity of those three. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's on the agenda. And they're right. I can't, the facts are true that we are, because of the expense of ebooks, we don't have the budget to do it. We, as the county system, so.
Just to clarify, just in case.
Yeah.
They haven't officially,
No,
it's been a topic of discussion.
That's right.
So yes, it is, no proposals have been made or anything like that, but it is something that when the three county systems get together to chat and talk
I
about.
didn't know there was a forum for the three counties to
Yes.
get together,
Yes.
except over beer or something.
Well,
There's an official, forum?
Well, I mean, it's the agreement is called the MIX agreement, Metropolitan Interlibrary Exchange, I think is what it stands for. And that's the formal agreement that Washington County, Multnomah County, Clackamas County, Fort Vancouver, and Camas have all entered into that says, hey, if you qualify for a library card in Clackamas, you can go get one in Multnomah. And if you qualify in Multnomah, you can go to Washington County.
and you can get hold from them and,
Yeah.
that's how that all works.
And get the card, and
I've done that to Multnomah, but I haven't done that to Washington.
yes, you can Washington.
Collects library cards, it's pretty amazing access, but
Yes.
the availability and the collections can be quite different in with the digital.
But there is no link that we have to go search
Correct.
inventory.
Right.
Yes, yeah, you go and you get the card for that system,
Okay.
but that is a formal agreement that gets renewed every 5 years. And so it is coming, and the representatives of those systems meet on an annual basis at least. But when I was in that position, we probably meet twice a year, just kind of get together, and talk. But as time goes on, and I think it's up for renewal either a year or 2 years. And yes, the ebook issue is one of the things that they're saying, yeah, Washington County is investing, I don't know if it's like $1.5 million a year. Multnomah County above that, and Clackamas County is probably around 300,000 a year.
There are poor counties than us, but they're not in this.
They're not in there.
They're not in this group yet, so the question becomes, why do Multnomah County and Washington County taxpayers, why should their tax dollars be subsidizing access to Clackamas County, who is either not able or not willing to pony up an equivalent amount, based on the capital?
So that's a statistic we haven't been looking at. We do look at the holds received holds, to other libraries.
And so we are starting, like I said, we're trying to do a better job of communicating that, since it's never all the top. I don't know that at the mix level, they've kind of really, because you have three different, right? So you gotta pull the data out and do cross-referencing. I know Rick, our county network manager, I believe we will have that data this time around. So as soon as that is shared, us as directors will certainly share with this group as well.
And remember, the Multnomah County mill levy is $1.29, $1.26, something like that. Ours is 39 cents.
Yeah.
So, there's a major funding difference here.
But
There it is.
you could certainly, there could certainly be a future, like one of the, a model that others use is you could say, okay, well, we're willing to let you have a Multnomah County library card, but if you're a Clackamas resident, you can only put one item on hold and have one keep it checked out for our service, because we're prioritizing it for our patrons. And be a huge reduction in access the Clackamas residents have traditionally enjoyed.
I think a lot of people don't recognize that there's even any cost related to ebooks, because, you go on the internet, and, Google is effectively, and most sites there's no visible consumer cost, and so I think people don't, as a library user, recognize there is a cost.
Well, and you can buy an ebook for a fraction of what we can license it as a library. it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other,
There's probably a much longer answer doesn't want to say. Thank you.
I love it, learn something every month.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So, they have no.
All right. So draft biennial actual.
Oh, sorry, were there any other questions on the annual progress reports? I would certainly love a motion to just authorize me
Oh,
to
okay, sure.
submit these on the.
I'm happy to have
The
it.
library board has taken a look at these, and if there are any concerns that, you do have them,
Right.
you can comment on this, that's your job. So,
So just a quick question, they have the percentage of city residents and then the rural residents, and there's a should the board should reflect that. And but that's not a standard that we have to keep because of the at-large person.
that's the way that we have kept it in the
Okay.
past, so all the IGA says, sorry, it's in the caption. It says there shall be proportionate representation on the local library board, so it doesn't say it has to be exact. Standard has been try to get as close as you can realistically. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the reason that they got that large position, allowing it to be either or, is just the difficulty of sometimes. If you had to find 3 residents of the unincorporated area, you might not be able to do it, and you would be down a person. So I think that was the thinking behind that position.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, any comments? If not, I would like to entertain a motion to endorse the 3 years of LDAC reports.
Motion, that we, accept the report as presented with the correction of the error that was noted.
Mhm. Second, please.
Also,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, draft tactical plan.
Okay. So I will first make my lunches and make my lumps, come up with this process. My goal has been to, have it ready July 1st. I didn't get it, so all on me. So I apologize for that. But we have done some work with staff and come up with our draft 25-27 tactical plan. These were the process we go through is, we all, this body in particular helps develop the focus areas of our strategic plan. And then as staff, we come back and say, okay, what are some really impactful things we think we can do to kind of move the needle on some of these priorities? Bring it back to you for your thoughts, and once consensus, that's kind of what drives some of the stuff we do. This is not all we're gonna do in the course of the biennium. There's lots more that we do, but these were kind of big things that we'd like to do, and we wanna, we think we can make a good impact. This is a draft, so there's probably a little more wordsmithing that might happen, but since I was a little late with this, I wanted to get this in front of you, and kind of get your feedback on these. And I'm happy to go item by item if you like, or if it's just you have questions on specific ones that you read, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Well, just to clarify, but particularly also for Rachel, is that we revised the strategic plan about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, is it? Well,
And then we ended it. We said, we're happy extending this for another couple of years as is because.
Right, and when we came up with these five focuses, and this, at the board level, that's sort of what we are empowering the staff to come up with tactics, improve. And so we have the focus, the goals, and then the activities are what Greg and Denise and the staff have come up with in order to iteratively build toward improving the.
yeah, previously the tactical operational piece and the strategic piece were kind of blended or kind of, it was, I think we had too much in the strategic plan that was operational, and so we tried to tease out between the two, because this is the first time the library has done this, to separate a strategic plan for the more operational tactical plan. And so we were hoping that doing so would give the staff better clarity about what their goals might be around the strategic plan. So,
And it's worked. I mean, you know, a lot has gotten done, and we've been pretty much kept up to date with sort of where we are on things. And, so that said, any concerns, comments on what the draft is here?
I've got one. Well, there's a typo with one more implement. Yeah.
There's probably more typos.
Okay.
So, but anyway, yep, we will fix that.
But on overdue fines, I thought we'd already knew that there's overdue fines.
Well, so
That's a good comment.
Yes, something I want to, so,
Or is this lost?
no,
No,
this is overdue fine. So what we did is, starting 2 budgets ago, I think it was, we no longer budget for fine revenue as
Okay.
part of our operating budget, so that we are in a position now where we can say, were we to elect to go fine free, it would not have an operational impact. No. The goal had always been for all Clackamas libraries to do it together, to kind of, so we could say, hey, Clackamas County is now fine free. That's not going to happen. So there is currently one library. It's been very hard to keep track of. I will say, within the next 3 months, there will be, I believe, 5 libraries in Clackamas County who have made the local decision to go fine free.
But until all do, it won't be.
No, it's up to everyone. And this is cause some friction. I don't mind saying this is cause some friction amongst the directors.
Like 5-figure amounts
No.
budgeted for
No.
fines? Or
No, we had,
Four.
it was like 25,000, 30,000 several years
Some
ago.
years ago, most recently it's about 15
Yeah,
grand
Okay.
is what we
Okay,
get.
still-
And I will say,
still
it is,
5
I will say, we have empowered our staff, so every person who comes into the library, we do not want fines accessing the library. So we work with every single person who comes in to do everything we possibly can to eliminate fines as a barrier. But with that, there are people who like to pay fines. There are people who are like, oh, I want to support you.
yeah, this is not for missing or damage.
Yes, yes,
Just-
it's just overlay.
Just overdue. Okay.
So in the next couple of months, there will be 5 libraries who will not be charging overdue fines. 5 Clackamas libraries will not be charging overdue fines on materials checked out at their location. So it's difficult because it's inconsistent countywide, which we hate. But that's just the way that's how it's looked at.
I remember when we talked about the task force, one of the light bulbs that went on when I sat through those wonderful meetings was that this is not a county system. This is a city library system.
True.
That with an overlay of funding. Yeah, that the county, that's, it was with the
So-
county.
The reason it's on.
City is a goal, but it's not. It's
Yes.
not.
Because ours are not.
Well, yes, that was a good, we had about a 5-minute conversation about that at our last directors meeting, because the IJ says, who shall cooperate to the maximum extent practical on community services and policy and the like, and of course, that's open to interpretation, what's practical. Anyway, the reason this is on here is because there has been discussion, in this group about going fine free and wanting to do it in the future. I will say personally, I would love to do it, but it's, this is a decision that if this is something that the library, that we want for the library, this is something that this body's gonna have to carry the water on. And it would probably involve that. And that's why I put it on. I want you guys to have the opportunity to evaluate whether this is right for our community, whether this is right for the library. If it is something you feel strongly about, you'll get to go make a presentation to the commission and pitch.
Yeah, see, that becomes a political issue at the commission level, but they never picked up on it during budget. Because it was clearly not, it had been a budget item, or a revenue budget item,
Yeah.
and it wasn't in the last ones, and nobody asked, nobody's, it never came up. But if we draw attention to it, we're gonna get commission members saying, wait a minute, what are what are you talking about? And I'm not sure that the
They
policy.
could only be 10% is invested in that, 90% of the
Yeah,
budget comes from that.
My gut feeling is it's not a huge amount of money. And I hate saying, because, to somebody, $15,000 is a huge amount of money. So in comparison to the rest of the library budget and the rest of the city budget, comparatively, it's a huge amount of money. Like we talked about, it's not in our budget anymore.
Right.
It doesn't really have operational impact if we don't get it, because we figured out how to provide the same level of service with revenue. I don't believe that the commission would have a huge, problem with it. I'd say it would go down, if this was something that we wanted to happen, it would go down a lot easier if the representatives of the community were the one bringing it, not staff members.
and frankly, I thought we made this decision.
Oh,
True.
And other cities would be at least aligned partially with us.
Yes.
But it's on the same ideas as subsidized school lunches. You could have you could almost fund fines with donations,
It's true.
leave a penny take.
Well, let me suggest this. Let's get it on the agenda for the next board meeting as a discussion item to see whether this board wants to take action. And I'm happy to carry it to the commission. I don't have any problem with that. But
And that's why I phrase it like this. It's just one of our tactical plan items is for you guys to discuss this.
Okay.
And to evaluate and if you decide to go forward, you can present any recommendations to the city. You might decide, there's nothing to present, you don't want to do.
Okay, well, let's have that discussion at the next board meeting. Okay. Yes.
And I can bring some information of every library, lots of libraries have done analysis of here's.
Is this a countrywide initiative or trend?
Pretty militant.
Yes, we are Clackamas is the only major system in the Portland metro area that still has open refunds. So Fort Vancouver has been fine free for 20 years. Portland got rid of them, Washington County got rid of them. Mostly Eugene, down there, CCRLS got rid of them.
But everybody still tries to collect on the loss.
Correct. That is
That's fair.
that's fair. But I will also say that our student library cards, one of the strong requirements the school district had, and we were very happy to accommodate, was that any school card does not have fines associated. So we already have a subset of cards that we issue that do not have fines.
Oh, your IT supports that.
We set them up, yes, we set them up in the system as a different card type, which has different rules.
And really, the staff has the power to say the fines. If somebody comes up and brings it up, let's go on. Yeah, I mean, I think,
But like I said, we do everything we can
right.
to eliminate barriers
Right.
to access for all of our patrons.
Right. So we'll have that discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a question about that. The first one is the emergency elementary school readers and then focusing on fourth grade. I mean, I'm just curious kind of on the fourth grade and then labeling that as an emergent reader.
And this might be able to, so this is from Barrett. And this is something that has had some recent conversations about. So if I misspeak, please feel free to correct. My understanding is that the school districts have identified at that fourth grade level that they're being a marked decline in engagement, reading engagement.
And specifically like that COVID effect and the students that are in fourth grade and that not necessarily because they're in fourth grade, that this specific like cohort.
So I believe from what Barrett told me that Doug, the district librarian and the coordinator of school staff is they are working on how do we address this? What can we do to help reverse this trend with this particular group? And we have been invited to participate in those efforts and we would very much like to, help and support the school districts in doing what we can to contribute effort to so that's what this is.
Because the additional funding doesn't go up to fourth grade that the state's giving for some reading interventions. It stops at second and third grade.
But, and I would, if you create a program or materials that you work really well for one grade level, once you have the infrastructure in place, it's pretty easy to modify it. If we're creating reading lists or activities that could work for a wide variety of kids, you just change the titles, change them. It would be something that could be hopefully replicated.
One thing that could affect this is if anything happens to Title I, the world changes for libraries and for schools. I mean, I volunteer at a Title I program and believe it, be devastating. I don't know what the impact folks would be, but it would be enormous. And so we may want to revisit that if we go down that path.
There's also a lot of studies that show that at about the age of 9, you have to stop reading with your children. And it's kind of a critical time to continue reading with your child. Not help them read, but read with them and to continue the practice. So it makes sense that we would kind of address that specifically.
I like the STEM. I guess it was just the emerging elementary readers that caught my attention.
Okay.
Because I don't think of the fourth graders as
It's
emerging.
emergent. No, I don't believe that.
Okay, I will, we can certainly do that. So, thank you for the feedback on the wordsmith. So I will check with Barrett and the smart school people. But you're a smart school person, so you get a big grain of, you'll.
The rest of them I'm okay with.
Okay.
Just that.
Good. Any other questions, concerns at this point? Yes, again, we'll always come back to that and we'll get updates at every meeting on the technical fund.
My goal was quarterly, yeah. I think I also owe you guys a quarterly report from the last quarter of last year on what we've had. Some of the book blockers in the vehicle that carried over, just because we weren't able to complete that. But I think we're all supportive of that is still where we're putting a lot of time and energy and effort into those big projects. So.
Okay, well, moving on to communications and then some liaison assignments since Oz is off the board now, there's an opening for the Friends, and I have actually spoken with Rachel about representing the board and being a liaison with the Friends, and she's accepted that. So,
Good.
so
Thank you.
we've got that taking place. Lori was working with BAM, and so we'll have to look at that as that comes up. I'll start off. LDAC has not met. We have not had any meetings since the task force finished its thing. I don't know what the thinking is, but no update. So foundation.
And on BAM, may I ask
Yeah,
if it's okay?
sure.
Is there anybody currently who would like to
That's
take on the liaison with BAM? You'd always love to have a board liaison. I don't know if there's anybody who's particularly interested. Feels they have the capacity. Or if you already have a liaison assignment. And just fresh air, I presume you wanted to switch,
when
David might entertain the thought, so.
Should I move my mouth while you're speaking? I mean, I can.
I just know I'm gonna have a staff member, so who's my new liaison?
Yeah. Well, perhaps our board member will. Yeah.
Did I see Lisa being forward?
No, I mean, if someone needed to come too in the meantime, we might be able to, but definitely love being late tax. I don't want to.
So I heard a might, then definitely. Which is it?
In the short period.
Okay, that would be great. A short term for take on Ben. All right, foundation.
Okay, well, let's see. We met last week and we voted to increase our donation to the outreach vehicle project to $75,000 because we're fiscally stable right now. And we're interested in what other projects might be coming up. We're interested in the book locker. And so, but we've decided we won't have a fundraiser in the spring. There are some other community organizations that are having major raisers in the spring. We just didn't want to be out there like competing with them. And donor base for all of these things in this community is really small. And often they're the same people. And so we don't want to burn those people out, burn our political capital, as, you used that phrase earlier. And so we're considering what that means. What will we do as a fundraiser? Maybe do something in the fall, maybe do something a little different. We're going to be talking about that more in the next few months. And we're also going to be looking at updating our website and our sort of, social media presence out there. What does that mean? And what really are we, or what are we about that we want to tell the public about? And I think we haven't looked at that website we've looked at it, but we haven't modified it or updated it for quite a while. So we'll be doing that. So we're kind of like building our momentum again. We didn't meet for several months for a variety of reasons. And so, we're just like, okay, where are we now? What do we need to do next? And I think we'll just get our energy legs back under us, at our next meeting, because we talked about a lot of possibilities at the last meeting.
Thank you.
And if I may, but even though we didn't meet, I'm trying to find the number, so I don't have to go off the memory, but like the fall, or the year end solicitation I was very pleased with.
Yes, it was about what, $23,000, the end of the year donation solicitation.
Okay, well,
And that's considerably more than it has been at the end of the year. So I have to say Karen Martini, who's our, I don't exactly know what her title is anymore. But she has a fundraising background, and she's been doing a great job of building the donor base and communicating with the donor base, soliciting things, and I'm very appreciative of Karen's. So
Okay. You want to speak to friends? Anything?
We met at our last meeting, so financially, they're doing very well. They are also in a good position to help fund the bigger projects as well as some of the smaller ones. At our last meeting, they approved, they are going to purchase for us, our teen librarian submitted a proposal to have a dispenser for free, feminine hygiene products primarily for teens. This is something schools do already. There's legislation. It doesn't exist for other public facilities, but Sabrina felt strongly that this is something we should offer. And so the Friends were very providing the initial funding for the dispenser and initial supplies. So install that up here in the bathroom up here.
It came today.
Oh, did it? So, we will be asking the Friends to increase their pledge to 75,000 for the vehicle. We have the financial wherewithal to do so. I think that's about it.
And will you liaise with Rachel in terms of the board meetings?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. They have a new section in the store.
Oh,
Is it mystery?
Yes.
Yes. So now they have a free section over in the bookstore. And they're just the gangbusters. They do a really good job of making lots of money with $2 books.
It's amazing. Incidentally, just another update, the parking lot has been repaved and is all finished as well, so that project did get done as well. We didn't listen. The teens.
They meet in January, so that break over winter and break in the holiday. They'll meet again this Sunday, so we're more interested in that.
Anything else? No? Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 6:04.
Thank you, everyone.